every day for 100% free. Just text TRADE to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text TRADE to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text TRADE to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks pulled back from their records as concerns about high interest rates weighed on the market. The S&P 500 fell 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite slipped 0.2%. The day after both set all-time highs. The Dow lost 0.5%. Indexes had been close to flat early in the day, but they sank after minutes from the Federal Reserve's latest meeting, showing officials suggesting it would take likely longer than previously thought to get inflation fully under control. The Dow was down 202 points to finish at 39,671. The Nasdaq lost 31 to 16,801. The S&P 500 dropped 14 points to 5307. New York oil fell $1.09 to $77.57 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling now to about 66 tonight is our low. A few clouds roll in. Tomorrow we get a blend of sun and clouds. The high is 90. While on Friday we see more of the cloudy cover arrive in the afternoon, we have a 20% chance we get a little shower. For the weekend and including Memorial Day Monday, there's a 40% chance of some rain. The high's around 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Okay, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Good to have you with us. We come to you live from Hoover, Alabama, South Carolina's only sports talk show covering the Gamecocks in Hoover. And tomorrow, the Clemson Tigers in Charlotte. Matt Smith will be there for that. South Carolina's going to be here a little bit longer. The Gamecocks dusted off Arkansas today. 5th-ranked Arkansas, one of the top teams in the country. The Gamecocks win it 6-5 in a game where they took the early lead, held the lead until the latter stages, saw Arkansas tie it up, and then a dramatic 9th inning 2-run homer by Cole Messina, who had 5 of the Gamecocks' 6 RBIs today. And in the bottom of the 9th, things got really tight. Arkansas scored a run, had runners on base, but Garrett Gainey got out of it, and the Gamecocks pick up a huge win. For the first time since 2017, Chris Bergen in Sardis, Josh Cohen in Columbia. For the first time since 2017, the Gamecocks have won a game in the SEC tournament in the main bracket. So they have won games here, of course, in the play-in round, but then they would lose when they got into the main bracket. But in 2017, they got into the main bracket, but they lost in the first game of the winner's bracket, so they had to come up through the loser's bracket. So if I wanted to dig back even deeper into history to find the last time that they won in the winner's bracket, to move in the winner's bracket, to stay on the winner's side of the winner's bracket, if you hear what I'm saying, I'd have to do a little bit more digging on that. But 2017 is far enough back. Of course, they're not worried about that. Mark Kingston, he knows the history. He knows how the Gamecocks have failed here repeatedly over the years in Hoover and have made better history in Omaha. But he is riding high right now with this team. He feels like they're playing their best baseball, which, coming off a 6-game losing streak, you might think that's just crazy to be able to turn it around that quickly and feel that good about yourself. But baseball is an everyday game, and it's the next day you can feel good or you can feel worse. And the Gamecocks feel pretty good. And they're going to face LSU tomorrow, and LSU, my goodness, their pitching has been incredible. Oh, my gosh. 11-0 winner over Kentucky today in the first game of the day, and that was a game called after 8 innings, run rule. So in 2 games, LSU pitching's allowed 1 run. They gave up 1 run to Georgia yesterday. So they're very hot, and because they've won handily both of those games, I'm sure they're well rested, got their pitching in order. Don't know what the Gamecocks will do pitching-wise tomorrow. They're going to figure it out tonight. Eli Jones started today. So there's a variety of people he could run out there. They could continue to do the, what Tampa Bay did so well when they won a World Series a few years ago, when they actually would use an opener and then go to multiple pitchers throughout a ball game. Now the Gamecocks kind of using that kind of concept. We'll go into more detail about what happened here in just a moment, Chris, but how about this win for Mark Kingston and the Gamecocks, not only now, of course, definitely in the NCAA tournament, maybe with one more win tomorrow or the next day, depending on what happens tomorrow, definitely tomorrow, they might get themselves back into a position where they're in the conversation as a top 16 seed and hosting a regional. They're still probably going to have to win one or 2 more games.
Well, I think one thing they probably already done, Phil, is move themselves off the 3 line and back into the 2 seed line. And that probably means that matchup with Clemson and South Carolina in the same regional is probably not going to happen. I can't imagine they would send the Gamecocks as a 2 to Clemson now. It looked like it was going to be a possibility as a 3. But the past 2 ball games, it makes you wonder just how good is Tennessee's pitching staff. Maybe that's the avenue we should have taken coming off that past weekend series. Georgia just outslugged South Carolina. It wasn't a situation where the Gamecocks didn't score runs. They just didn't score enough. But Tennessee shut this offense down, and now you see when they're not facing frontline top pitching, and I was a little surprised, and maybe it's Arkansas's approach, heck, we don't need to win the SEC tournament. We're going to be a national seed anyway. But I was surprised Hagen Smith did not pitch for them today. I'm guessing he might go tomorrow now in an elimination game.
He will go tomorrow. He's already been announced as their starter tomorrow, yes.
So I wonder if that was the plan all along, win or lose. They weren't going to take him out of his normal rotation, and they pitch him, in the second game for them, and that's fine. But I thought the Gamecocks really answered the bell today because every time Arkansas put pressure back on them, South Carolina had an answer. And is Cole Messina, do you think he's a little perturbed that he was not first-team All-SEC catcher? I mean, the guy's hit, 3 home runs out there already in this tournament, and he's put this team on his back and has carried them through the first 2 wins.
Yes, he has. 3 homers in this tournament, 5 RBIs today, 2 homers on the day, and maybe so. He's the type of guy I think that keeps receipts, and that kind of an overlook in his mind, might be something to extra motivate him. I see where he's a semifinalist for the Buster Posey Award that goes to the nation's premier catcher. He's not doing anything to hurt his reputation with his performance down the stretch of this season, and especially here now at the biggest games of the year, the SEC tournament. While we're talking, you're talking about the Tennessee pitching. Tennessee is playing Vanderbilt right now. Vanderbilt's put 2 on the board in the 3rd and has taken a 2-1 lead on the Vols. So, and we'll see where this goes. But right now it's 2-1 Vanderbilt. Earlier today, as I mentioned, LSU polished off Kentucky with no trouble. Gamecocks took care of Arkansas 6-5. In case you weren't paying attention, in case you were busy having a life and doing other things, tell you what happened here in this one. The Gamecocks took a 1-0 lead. Nolan with a single to left center for the RBI, and the Gamecocks go on top 1-0. Stayed that way to the bottom of the second when Arkansas tied it up with a run, a single, down the right field line with 1 away, and it made it a 1-1 game at that point. The Gamecocks responded in the third with a single run. Messina singling up the middle to drive home that one to make it a 2-1 game. Arkansas in the fourth got a run on the board, sacrifice fly, and that made it a 2-2 game. And then in the fifth, Messina, again, a 2-run homer to dead away center. And so that put the Gamecocks up 4-2. Eli Jones started for the Gamecocks, and then Ty Good came in. And Good, he kept Arkansas off the board in the fifth and the sixth. So we go to the seventh. Gamecocks haven't scored any more. They're still up 4-2. We go to the seventh. And the first two batters get on from Arkansas, back-to-back singles. And then they bring in Garrett Gainey, and he really wasn't fooling anybody at that point. Gave up a double for an RBI, and then he gave up a sacrifice fly for an RBI. But he didn't get out of it with any further damage. So now it's a 4-4 game in the seventh. The Gamecocks don't do anything in the eighth, and Gainey sets down Arkansas in the eighth. We go to the ninth, and with nobody out, Jackson, the leadoff man, takes one off the body, gets hit by a pitch. So he's on first. Messina comes up on the first pitch from the Arkansas reliever, who's an outstanding reliever, and he had not given up a home run all season. Gakel had not given up a home run all season, and he threw a slider on the first pitch, and Messina deposited it well over the center field wall. It was a deep shot to center field. Yeah, he got all of it, as they say. That put the Gamecocks up 6-4. That was all they got. They were up 6-4. Mark Kingston, had made a decision to stick with Garrett Gainey going back out into the ninth. They were going to win or lose with Gainey. And it got really tight in the bottom of the ninth inning. Made for a great finish to this ball game. So after a ground ball out to start the bottom of the ninth, Gainey gives up a single and another single. So you got first and second with one out. You're clinging to a 6-4 lead. Next batter singles to center for an RBI. Makes it 6-5. You got runners now on first and second, and you've got one out. First and second, one out. So next batter, you get a ground ball to third. He throws to second. They get the out there with the runner sliding hard on the bag right into, I'm thinking that was Nolan who took that throw. So they get the out there. They throw to first, and they don't get the runner at first. Now Kingston appeals both the play at second and the play at first. He wanted interference at second, and he wanted an out call at first. He got neither. So now there's two outs, and there's runners on the corners. And on a 1-0 pitch, Gainey gets the hitter, Sprague Lott, to hit a soft fly ball to center. Austin Brindling runs it down, and that set off a pretty good celebration by the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
By beating the fifth-ranked team in the country. 6-5 and elevating themselves into the winner's bracket, undefeated side of the winner's bracket tomorrow afternoon. As I was talking, somebody just cranked a home run for Vanderbilt. So this Tennessee pitching's given up 5 runs on 5 hits. Their starter, 5 runs on 5 hits in 2+ innings, 2.2 innings. And they're making a pitching change, Tennessee is. So Vanderbilt jumping on Tennessee here early, 5-1.
Have they moved the fences in at Hoover? I can't remember a tournament that had this many home runs this early.
Yeah, and you know what? There's very little wind out here this evening. The flags are they're pretty quiet. I don't think they've moved them in. Let's see. It's still
I was joking. It's
335. 335 down the left field line. It's 405 to deep center, to straightaway center. I can't see the number in right. It's probably about 335 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the story of the game. Huge win for South Carolina. Mark Kingston's feeling very good about things. In fact, after he finished the press conference, he was joking with the South Carolina media. He came over to us and he said, hey, you guys didn't ask the most important question that could have been asked at the press conference. And, we're all dumbfounded.
Mm-hmm.
He said the most important question would be what kind of defense were you playing with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth? Were you playing no doubles or were you playing straight away? Which is an excellent question to ask if anybody had thought of it. He gave us the answer. He said he played straight away because he did not want any kind of a bloop single to drop in there. And you know what? They had a little bloop fly ball that could have dropped in. Of course, the play was made by the center fielder. I guess in no doubles defense, the center fielder would have been playing maybe a little bit deeper. But they had him positioned just right to make the play, and the Gamecocks get the win. They move up in the RPI to 17. They move up 2 spots to 17 in the RPI. We'll hear from the Gamecocks coming up after the break. And outside of that, we'll take your phone calls. Love to hear what you think about what's happening here, elsewhere around college baseball. We can also, of course, dive into college football and all the activity happening off the field. More news there. We'll talk about that tonight as well. Have a little recruiting for you, too. So we got a very busy edition of Sports Talk for you here tonight on the Sports Talk Media Network. Update a couple of things. Yes.
Before we leave the Gamecocks, I thought there were 2 critically important junctures that Garrett Gainey was able to get out of in both the 7th inning and the 9th inning. Aloy came up, their best hitter, with an opportunity both times to give Arkansas the lead. And Gainey was able to get him out both times. Now, he reached on a fielder's choice in the 9th, but that was a huge second out in that ball game. And with that guy as good a hitter as he is, I thought those were critically important sequences in that ball game. And Arkansas is going to look back on this contest. Either team, whichever team lost, was going to look back at a game in which they missed opportunities. And Arkansas had a couple, especially in the 7th and 9th, with your best hitter up there and a chance to grab the lead, and they couldn't do it either time. So, tip of the cap to Garrett Gainey for getting around those landmines.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing, if you're South Carolina and you're now 2-0 in this tournament and you're playing tomorrow in the winner's side of the winner's bracket, with a chance you win tomorrow, I think you're off on Friday, right? So
correct.
My thought is, you know what? You've come this far. You might as well try and do everything to win it. I mean, some teams are like, I don't have to win the SEC tournament because I'm going to be hosting a regional. We're in great shape there. And South Carolina knows they're in a regional, but if you're this close to getting to Saturday and a chance to, play your way into the championship game, why not do everything you can? And I'm sure Mark Kingston is thinking, hey, only one person's ever won an SEC tournament championship in this program, and that was Ray Tanner, and that was a long time ago. So
2004, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He's got a chance to
beat Vanderbilt, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yep. I mean, he's got a long way to go because he's going to. Arkansas is probably, Arkansas and Kentucky are going to play tomorrow morning elimination game, so they're going to see one of those teams when they play again, whether it's on Friday in the losers bracket or Saturday in the semifinals, most likely. So there's still a lot of work to be done by the Gamecocks to make any kind of major news in this tournament. Okay, on to a couple of other things. Coastal Carolina loses to Southern Miss today, Chris, 5-0. They gave up only 5 hits, but they only had 3 hits themselves.
Yeah, it was a tremendous pitcher's duel, much like the game they won yesterday against Georgia State. I think they went into about the 7th or 8th inning scoreless, and both teams had very few hits. I mean, Montgomery, not far from where you are, is the side of the Sun Belt tournament, and it's produced some really good pitching so far. And that was a game that Coastal, boy, it would have been nice, much like Carolina beating Arkansas today, really helped their resume for the postseason. That would have been a nice win for Gary Gilmore's club to beat a team as good as Southern Miss, who's going to be in the field.
Yeah. Wofford beat the Citadel 8-3 in the Southern Conference Tournament. ACC, Wake Forest beat Pittsburgh 8-1. Also in the ACC tonight, you got North Carolina State and Virginia Tech. Old Dominion leading Louisiana 1-0, top of the 4th in the Sun Belt. Tonight, Georgia Southern plays James Madison. I think that's all we've got in these respective tournaments right now. CAA doesn't begin. No, it began today. Got to find out. Got to get those scores. CAA. Charleston doesn't play until tomorrow. We'll get those CAA scores, and I guess I think the Big South doesn't start till tomorrow. I think. We'll double check on that.
Yeah, they only have, a 14 tournament,
Yeah,
so it shouldn't take very long.
Exactly. All right, a lot of folks are holding, so let's go ahead and jump on the calls. We'll hear from the Gamecocks after the bottom of the hour break, and then we'll just roll with your phone calls. And we'll take your calls all the way through the second hour as well. The phone line does not shut down after 7 o'clock. We can continue with phone calls, 888-898-2525. The number. Let's go to Gamecock Larry. Leading off tonight, coming off a Gamecock victory today. Gamecock Larry, how you feeling?
Boy, I am feeling good. And I just decided, you know what? Once a Gamecock, always a Gamecock. I may get mad and say things I should say. I ain't apologizing for nothing I've said, but I just decided we got to give Kingston an extension. But that pitching coach got to go.
Oh.
That pitching coach got to go. So all I said was both of them had to go. Well, if Kingston goes, both got to go. But I know one that's got to go, and that's the pitching coach. So that means, no, don't give him no extension. Just so you can play out your contract. There you go. There you got it right. But how in the world, who picked the players of the year in the position? How in the world can anybody pick that catcher for Texas A&M over Cole Messina? You check the stats and everything. Walks, hits, runs, everything. You check the stats, and Cole Messina got him by 1,000. I don't see. That shows you how much the SEC thinks of the Gamecocks. But all I got to say, I slept. You know what time I woke up this morning? You ain't gonna believe this, Phil. I woke up at 12:15. Got up, eat me a sausage on the stick, got back into bed, fell asleep, woke up 5:15, turned the radio on to 107.5, put that thing in my ear, and I fell asleep again, and I didn't get up to 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, and you know what? They got me on some kind of...
What do you mean 7 o'clock? You mean 7 o'clock in the morning?
7 o'clock this morning. I had that thing in there, but I done lost an hour. But they got me on some kind of, what do you call them, some melatonin or something, to sleep. I told them, I said, I took one last night, but I ain't taking no more. Because they make me go to sleep. I might not be able to wake up in time to hear something. I might miss something. I ain't going to take another one of them things. I'm on, oh Lord have mercy. But give my coach, don't give me an extension, say you can stay another year. Get back. Once a Gamecock, always a Gamecock, and I don't care how bad we are. I can't, I shouldn't. Well, you do, though. Anybody does. But, boy, I tell you, I'm
you know what? You need to take a breath and relax. You'll have a good night's sleep. Listen to your doctors. Take what they give you and dream good dreams about your Gamecocks, and then be looking forward to tomorrow night's game and see what they can do.
You know, I had that dream about sweeping Tennessee. Well, that must have been, they meant that we were going to get into play a SEC tournament. We're going to sweep through the tournament. That must have been what I dreamed about. Just got to Tennessee and the rest of it mixed up. That's all we got to say. Love all y'all. Go Gamecocks. Hey, go Gamecocks. Love all y'all.
All right.
You know, he makes a really good point, Phil, about Jackson Appel being first-team All-SEC catcher versus Cole Messina.
Yeah.
I mean, the power numbers, Messina is considerably better. Batting average is about the same. And when you look at, if you're going to take sort of a national approach to it, the guys who are supposed to know the best catchers in the country, Appel wasn't even a Buster Posey Award semifinalist. and Messina is. So I think the SEC missed on that one, and that may have fueled Cole Messina because he's certainly taking it out on the baseball at the tournament. Good grief.
Let's go to Ray and Elgin before we get to the bottom of the hour. Ray, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm doing good, Phil. I'll tell you, man, so happy for Mark Kingston. I mean, good land. At the last 2 weeks, we were all 6 in a row. I'll tell you, not in my eyes, but in a lot of people's eyes, man, he was on life support. You know, I tell you, unbelievable. And what they've done the last 2 games, I mean, I think Kingston's going to have the last laugh, and I would not be surprised that we have a big finish this year and maybe get to a super regional, maybe in Omaha. I'm really convinced this team can actually do that. I'll tell you that much right now. And just want to add one other thing, Phil. Changing the subject of college football. You remember back during the days of SMU, and they got a death penalty, and the program hasn't been the same. And that was almost hasn't been the same, and that's been like 40 years ago. Nowadays, that would just be par for the course. There would be it wouldn't be any investigation or nothing. And I was thinking about the recruitment of Eric Dickerson. He was pretty much a generational type of running back. And I remember A&M got him a Trans Am, and they had to give it back, of course. But, A&M was about the Trans Ams. Texas was about the burnt orange Corvettes, and Oklahoma was about the candy apple red Corvettes. Can you imagine today if there was a player equivalent of Eric Dickerson coming out in the school or whatever, whoever does this, we don't know who does it, said, well, if you come to this school, we're going to get you a sports car. That kid would look up in the sky, show his hands up, is that all? So back in those days, that was the most egregious thing that could happen. But thanks for letting me talk to you.
You are exactly right. We got to run to a break, but we'll pick up on that coming up. But the world is totally upside down compared to what it was 40, 50 years ago in college athletics. And we're only seeing the beginning, my friend. We're only seeing the beginning of it. Hit the break. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Tonight's forecast only cool now to about 66 tonight is our low. A few clouds roll in. Tomorrow we get a blend of sun and clouds. The high is 90. While on Friday we see more of the cloudy cover arrive in the afternoon. We have a 20% chance we get a little shower. For the weekend and including Memorial Day Monday, there's a 40% chance of some rain. The high's around 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hello, this is Ted, owner of Flight Deck Restaurant. This Memorial Day, join us as we honor our veterans. As we remember those who bravely served and the veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice. Come together with family and friends at Flight Deck Restaurant to honor their legacy. And to show our appreciation, all veterans receive a special discount at Flight Deck Restaurant. So visit us at the shops of Flight Deck in Lexington, and online we're at www.flightdeckrestaurant.net. Thank you and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Nikki Haley says she will be voting for Donald Trump in the general election, encouraging the presumptive GOP nominee to work hard to win support from those who backed her in the primary. Haley made the comment Wednesday during an event at the Hudson Institute in Washington. The Republican National Committee's Washington headquarters was briefly evacuated as police investigated 2 vials of blood addressed to former President Trump. The incident Wednesday comes after his takeover of the National Party apparatus. U.S. Capitol Police say hazardous materials teams were called in after the vials were discovered. On Wall Street, a down day as the Dow dropped 201 points, the Nasdaq lower by 31, the S&P 500 lower 14, and oil down to $77.57 a barrel. This is SRN News.
When you've got the gem of the Midlands, Lake Murray, at your disposal, who can blame you for wanting to hit that water now? Marine 360 has been your local home for the nicest crest and sea hunt boats since 2007. Brandon, Scott, and their team, well, they offer expertise, incredible customer service, and a tremendous selection of new and pre-owned boats. Crest is the industry standard. They've been building boats since 1956, the oldest and one of the most respected pontoon builders anywhere. Sea Hunt is built in Columbia, the #1 selling center console in its its class for 19 straight years. Look, Marine 360 is on the lake. It's a great place when you need your boat service. They're authorized service experts for Yamaha, Mercury, and Suzuki. I know Brandon and Scott. These are good guys. They're local, and they'll be there from start to finish. They can get you into the best boat that fits your dreams and your budget. Take a look online, marine360sc.com, or better yet, give them a call, 749-2360. Go visit the showroom, see their awesome selection, hit the water for a demonstration. If you belong on the water, you belong in a Marine 360 boat.
Are you looking for free checking and savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Palmetto State Armory, we can't catch the fish for you, but we can make sure you have everything you need to have a great day on the water. Getting bass or bluegill, lures from brands like Boom, Rapala, our exclusive hard bait line from Strike King, rod or reel. We've got
driving through the National Forest.
Garcia and Shimano. Worried about the weather? We've got rain gear and apparel from Hook, AFTCO, Columbia, and more. Be sure to stop at Palmetto State Armory before your next fishing trip and make it the best one yet.
That makes the drive a whole lot easier.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. After State Treasurer Curtis Future Scholar South Carolina 529 College Savings Plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey, Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned tech for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 addition. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort.
Say again? There was just one game in the ACC, right? It's one tonight? We are back on Sports Talk here tonight.
Hoover, Alabama will be Charlotte tomorrow, not me, but Matt Smith will be in Charlotte. Clemson plays tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're here in Hoover. South Carolina's going to keep us here a couple more days. The Gamecocks won today 6-5. They'll move on to play LSU tomorrow afternoon. Does it feel like, of course, our focus is Clemson, Chris, but it just feels like with Clemson not playing until Thursday morning, it's like it's just hard to focus on the ACC tournament with no Clemson there until Thursday.
Yeah, the tournament hasn't started, and when Clemson shows up, it's a winner-take-all game tomorrow. They win the pool. Miami wins, they win the pool. And so it's the pool play. I understand why the coaches like it. I can't imagine there are fans that like it at all. And judging by some of the attendance I've seen not that the SEC is packing them in by the thousands, but
they announced over 7,000 for the first session, and they've got a good crowd here tonight. No, it's not full. When there's no Alabama or Auburn here to bring the locals. You got
LSU, LSU being still involved is always helpful.
And Mississippi State, they always bring a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they're only a couple hours away.
How about
Tennessee's
their win last night?
Yeah, how about that? 1-0. But Tennessee's got a good crowd. Was it 2-1?
The walk-off home run. Mississippi State hit a walk-off home run at the bottom of the ninth.
Yes. I thought it was 1-0, but it was 2-1.
2-1. Yep.
Yeah. Tennessee's got a good crowd here, of course, being where they are and things. A lot depends on how well your team's doing. South Carolina's never brought a crowd to this event. And I know it's about a 6-hour ride from Columbia. But even really good Gamecock teams that came in here thinking they were going to do damage, didn't bring much of a crowd. Of course, the Gamecock fans were used to going to the regional in Columbia and I guess saving their energy and their efforts for that. Okay, so trying to figure something out here. So Virginia shut out Georgia Tech today 13-0, correct? At the ACC tournament?
Sure.
I'm seriously trying to. Here we go. All right, now I've got something here. Yeah. So Virginia shut out Georgia Tech 13-0, and Pitt and Wake Forest beat Pitt 8-1. And then tonight you got NC State and Virginia Tech. And then tomorrow you got Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, Pitt, and Duke and NC State.
That's a big game for Duke tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah,
because they're one of those teams. They're one of those teams that's still trying to battle for a regional host site.
Looks like somebody just hit a home run for Vanderbilt. They're up 6-1 on Tennessee. So if this holds up, so we're looking at a situation where lower seed Vanderbilt beats Tennessee, lower seed South Carolina beats Arkansas, lower seed LSU beats Georgia, and then beats Kentucky. I think Mississippi State was the higher seed last night over Ole Miss. So pretty much it's been upset city around the SEC tournament to this point.
You've already got the 11 and a 10 seed into the winner's bracket, and if Vanderbilt holds on, that'll be the 8th seed going to the winner's bracket.
Happens sometime in baseball.
Well, and you wonder too, Phil, and I was thinking about this when Hagen Smith did not start today. You wonder about the teams that are the high seeds, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 teams. How much do they really want to be in Hoover? How much do they want to play? I mean, when the tournament started, South Carolina needed to beat Alabama. I don't think there was any question. Vanderbilt needed to win over Florida yesterday. And I think that, teams that need wins come in a little more motivated than the teams who can sit back and say, you know what, I like Arkansas. I can't imagine they're not going to be a national seed, top 8 national seed, regardless of what happens to them the rest of the way. So how much do they put into this? Tennessee's going to be probably the top overall national seed. How much do they care if they lose to Vanderbilt and get bounced tomorrow and then come on home and get ready for the NCAA tournament? I think this is an entirely different scenario, almost like a basketball, the basketball tournaments when you get a team that's sitting squarely on the bubble and needs to win a couple of games versus taking on a team that is already locked into the NCAA tournament. How much different is the motivation? And I think you've seen that from South Carolina and certainly saw it from LSU earlier today. I mean, those two teams have played as well as anybody thus far.
Well, I still say if you make it to tomorrow in the winner's bracket, you might as well get your mindset on trying to win the championship.
No doubt. No doubt
to
at
win
that
the tournament.
I agree.
You should get really – I mean, not that you're not serious the first couple of days, but, I mean, if you happen to get that far and you're one of the undefeated teams with a chance to get an off day and win a couple of games and win a championship, you certainly want to put your best foot forward and see if you can get that done. All right, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery Lucky Number. We continue with your phone calls. We go to Andy in Columbia. Andy in Columbia up next with us here on Sports Talk. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, Corn. I hope that you brought a little more underwear and I don't have to wash your underwear in the sink tonight.
I'll keep that information private. Okay.
That actually does work, though, Corn, if you need to do that.
Probably only brought what you were wearing yesterday and nothing else. So
what I do with my underwear is my business, okay? It's my business.
Well, maybe you're going camo. Who knows? Okay. I don't care what the man does. Still in my eyes, he's not the man for South Carolina. And what no one's brought up, I haven't heard you even mention it, what tomorrow is going to be is the Michael Braswell game.
Yep.
And how well is that man playing at shortstop this year for LSU? Batting over 300? What did he have, 3 hits yesterday? Led off the game today with a home run? But he wasn't good enough for South Carolina to keep.
Well, I don't know exactly what led to his transfer.
Because they didn't play him. That's what led to his transfer. Kingston didn't play it, kept putting him on the bench last year. That's what led to his transfer, and we don't even have a shortstop. That's the weakest position in our infield, is shortstop.
Well, when Tippett's in there, when Tippett's in there, it's solid defensively.
Oh, he hits like you hit, Corn.
Well, I said defensively. I said when he's in there, he's good defensively, and they put him in the 5th inning. They went to their defense lineup in the 5th inning. Lee Croy, when he's playing over there, you move him over there because you want to try and be more offensive. That's why they put Cassis at third and they put Petrie at first, and they adjust to have more offense on the field. So, look,
Okay,
yeah,
so
I mean,
this wouldn't be a better team with Lee Croy at third and Braswell at short.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all, no.
And then you wouldn't have to make all these changes in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows that I just don't think player development here at this university is what it should be at this time in the
I don't know.
evaluation of players.
Would you say that Petrie's developed as a nice ball player at South Carolina?
I
Would
think
you say
Petrie
that
came in
Messina?
playing pretty well.
No,
I think
nobody
I
expected
don't
him to
think that
hit
they-
40 home runs plus in his first 2 years. Nobody saw that. How about Messina?
come on,
You know,
Corn, it
Messina,
wasn't
they
like
have
he was-
developed Messina up through the pro. Listen, you just don't like Kingston, period. I think if they won the World Series, you'd still want to change.
Like I said, I don't care what the man does. As far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned, he's not good enough to be the coach of the University of South Carolina. That's just my feeling. And, and
Well,
I'm not
I
going to
think
get off.
that,
And I'm not getting off the wagon. My man Larry can fly off the wagon all he wants. We welcome him on the wagon. I'm just,
Larry,
I guess his,
Larry
I guess
Larry
he just doesn't
is
have enough to
the
stay on the
preeminent
wagon.
front runner. He is the preeminent front runner of this program. When it's going well, he's going to love. Well, he's going to love the Gamecocks, win or lose. But I mean, like when it's going well, he's going to love everything about them. I think that this team has played well on occasion. It's playing well now. It played well when they won back-to-back SEC series before they went on their losing streak. They've had good moments. They've been inconsistent. There's no question about that. They've had questions with their pitching, no doubt about that. But I think if you're coaching an SEC baseball team and you're getting to the regionals, and in Kingston's case, he's gotten them to 2 super regionals, I think you're doing a pretty good job. And I think it's hard to make a
Can you tell me
change.
year that he's coached, Phil, that he hasn't been inconsistent, that we haven't had an inconsistent year?
Well, I mean, they haven't had a
Start
50
calling
win.
this the coach inconsistency?
They haven't had a 50 win season if that's what you're alluding to. Okay, but who wins 50 games?
We haven't even
these
had a
days?
mid-40 win season.
True that.
Okay. I mean, so I'm not, I would even like a 40-win season all the time. We don't even have that. How many 40-win seasons has he had?
I'd have to look
Can
it
you
up.
tell me that?
I'd have to look it up.
Well, while you're looking that up, congratulations on your Celtics not spitting the bit last night. Boy, did they get lucky.
Well,
But
I think that
congratulations.
luck is.
Congratulations.
Well,
Well, it helps that Tony Bennett is coaching the Indiana Pacers.
I was going to bring that up. Eventually,
And to
was
answer
gonna
your
get to
question,
that.
Andy, they won 42 games last year, remember?
Okay,
Yeah, there
but
you
how
go.
many other times have they won 40 games?
No, that's the only time. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, right, okay.
Now, and that
that's
team,
still
and
not
that team, had it stayed healthy, I think they could have won 50 games last year. They were playing that well until they started running into a rash of injuries.
That's right. And who knows? They
Yeah.
might end up with 40-plus wins this year the way they're going.
From your lips to God's ears.
Well, they
God
got to
probably
win.
had the
They got to
finger
win
to
more
the
games,
right
but they're 34-21. No, they're 35-21 after the win today.
Well,
and
maybe my other question should be this: how many times have they won 40 regular season games under his tenure? No,
we'd have to look that up, and we just don't have time to do that right now. You can also you can do a Google and you can do a Wikipedia and you can look it up as easily as we can.
Okay. One
so
last
save us the
question,
work.
and maybe
Yeah.
you can
Let me
answer
say
this
something
in-
about the Celtics last night.
Okay.
It wasn't luck. They played great defense to force a turnover to get the ball back. It's like Larry Bird
come on,
stealing
it
the
was
ball against
stupid
Detroit. That
coaching
wasn't
by
luck.
Carlisle.
That's
exactly.
called.
Not to
Andy's
call
exactly
the
right.
That's called.
Not
That's
to call
called.
a timeout and advance the ball and then get fouled when you're
It's not our
putting in the
problem.
ball.
It's not our problem. Our
No,
problem.
And you
I'm not
foul,
saying that-
and again, how many times do I have to sit on this program and be smarter than the 90% of coaches out there foul up 3 late? Why
Well,
is
you
that
know
so
what?
hard to understand?
Well, you
Why
know what?
is that so hard to understand?
The Celtics fouled in overtime up 6, I believe, because they didn't want Indiana shooting a 3, and they put them on the line, He made the first, missed the second, got the rebound, got fouled, went back to the line, and made 2. So now it's a 3-point game, and no time came off the clock. I think that's the fear that coaches have about doing that. It almost blew up in
That
the Celtics'
hardly
face.
ever happens, and I can name you 5 times it's happened this year when they did not foul, they lost, i.e. last night. Indiana's up 3 with 8 seconds left to go. What happens?
But
Boston hits a 3.
It took a superhuman shot.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it
but
took a
superhuman. It would take a much more superhuman effort to make a free throw, miss one, get the rebound, and then score.
Was that not one of the more beautiful jump shots you've ever seen? I mean, he did not put the ball on the floor. He went straight up. Of course, he's a great leaper. Perfect form. Knocked it down from the corner. I almost drove into the Chattahoochee River when I saw that.
Should have never happened. Should have never happened.
The coach said, let's not pull a Carlisle. Let's do it this way.
Exactly.
Okay, my other question is
Well, now,
this.
Carlisle, listening to the announcers last night, I mean, Carlisle is known for never fouling down 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or
and
up,
it's bitten him in the backside
numerous
up 3.
It's called a timeout.
Or up 3 or whatever the case may be. He never fouls.
Called the timeout and advanced the ball.
Did they have a
That's all
timeout
he had
left
to
in that
do.
last
Yes,
possession?
they
I
had
don't
a
think that.
timeout left.
Are you sure they had a timeout?
Had a timeout? Yes, I'm sure they did. Okay,
Well,
my other question is
then they
this.
fell
Do you have
victim
any
to the
information?
Celtic magic, the Red Auerbach touch.
Yeah.
They fell victim once again.
Victim to stupidity.
My other question is, do you have any information on the kid from Oak Hill? Is he going to be ending up at Kentucky now that Kentucky stick their nose into the business?
Yeah,
Are we gonna
nothing.
lose out another?
I'm gonna check on that. They did take another transfer, a 6'7" kid. So, but I don't know anything more yet. I got
Are
to
they
reach out
running
to his
out of
coach.
room yet at Kentucky? I mean, are they unlimited or what? I
don't know.
It just seems like Kentucky's taking 25 transfers already this year. I mean,
He's totally
or,
rebuilding that
whatever.
roster. But keep in mind with this kid, he's not going to be an immediate impact player
Oh, I
wherever
know.
he goes.
He's a project. He's a project, and I'm not. But he's a big man, and a big man's always good to have as a project.
He is a big man.
If we have room on our roster to bring in a big man as a project, I see no reason not to bring someone in like that, and let's hope that he can develop.
And we'll check and see if we can find out.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. And do not invite Andy to the Gamecocks World Series Championship Parade. He'll go to the Women's Basketball Championship Parade, but he will boycott the Baseball Championship Parade. Should they?
I get his frustration, but the comment about winning 40 games during the regular season, very few coaches are going 40-16. I mean, the Ray Tanner team of, 2000, 2001, they went 52-10 that year. I mean, those teams are very rare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
especially
extremely
today's
rare.
SEC, man, I tell you.
Exactly.
All right, got to hit the break on Sports Talk. We'll come back and take more of your phone calls. We've got a couple lines open if you want to join us. Hit us up, 888-898-2525. Vanderbilt hitting up Tennessee pitching. 7 hits for the Commodores, and they're up 6-1. Tennessee batting in the bottom of the 4th, and we'll be back.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, future scholar. Carolina's 9 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination.
I have three simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com. Get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. Now, somebody just went yard for Tennessee. 3-run dong. 6-4 now. Bottom of the fourth. Vanderbilt leading Tennessee. Phone number here, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. Right here to reach us on Sports Talk. More of your calls coming up just a moment. Reminder that summertime is here. Schools are getting out.
Tell me about it.
Traffic is picking up, and you need to make those plans to get to the beach and enjoy yourself. Give Jimmy Smith a call at 843-237-4246. Online at Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. Tell Jimmy what you're looking for, when you need it, how long you need it, and he'll take it from there. He and his staff do a great job of finding the right spot for you. And if you want to purchase property, he is the man to call. 843-237-4246. Online, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com for your perfect beach getaway.
May I say one thing?
One thing and one thing only. Make
All
it
right.
short and sweet.
I have a proposal. I need you to accept this, all right? I think we should have a Sports Talk Beach Week. What do you think?
Love it.
Yeah.
And do what?
Just have a show at the beach 5 days in a row. What do you think?
We do that a lot.
I'm just saying, you know. We can
No, we don't.
Well, I'm just
You
saying,
do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sorry there's no room at the inn. I'm sending you.
Yeah,
good
you're very
thoughts.
liberal with that term, we. Under the Sports Talk umbrella. I think Josh is actually mentioning that, you know, Smitty, myself, Josh, and you all at the beach.
Right.
At the same time.
Well, you know, listen, you got Jimmy's number. You give him a call. He'll take care of you guys as well. All right?
That works. Yeah, I guess so. I guess
Feel
I
free to
don't have
ring
to do.
him because I don't have room. All right. Phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And we go to Sam in Charleston. Sam, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
So, first of all, I was saying my condolences to the Gamecock baseball team. What a great win today. Big win for them tonight. I've been listening to the podcast of it. I got to tell you, they were red-hot Gamecock asses. I got to tell you. Hey, I have a couple of questions about the non-conference schedule for the CSC men's basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still really confused about something because do you think we can play Louisville next year? Because I know Pat Kelsey is listening to this, but I need some Louisville merch because I'm out of merch. And thirdly, can you guys more talk about the Chris Mack era of the season?
The Chris Mack what?
The Chris Mack era from the beginning.
Chris Mack era. Yeah, it's now Chris Mack City. You think Chris Mack's going to go around Charleston and saying, "It's my city, it's our city"?
Well, yeah,
Is he going to do that?
But yes, because I know Pat Kelsey left, but I can tell you, Louisville can be our city because it's closer from Charleston. But I just let you guys know I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I'm going to listen to you off and on. I cannot get the baseball games on my TV. Can you help me?
Well, yeah, it's on every game's on the SEC network, which is on. If you're on DirecTV, I can help you there. That's channel 611. If you're on Spectrum, down in Charleston, that's going to be in the 300 plus level. I don't exactly know the channel.
Sports Talk Tech Support. I love it.
Hey man, we're here for everybody.
I do have Apple TV. Yes, I can't watch games.
Well, I mean, Apple TV, I don't really deal with communist products very well. Chris, do you know anything about Apple TV?
Have no idea.
It's
My guess
essentially
is
just
you're
another
going to need some
streaming service.
some sort of sports package, Sam, as part of your TV to be able to get the SEC network.
So, can you guys talk about more about the non-conference schedule next year? If we play Louisville,
Nah, I don't think they've got Louisville on the schedule.
They will not play Louisville anytime soon. Pat Kelsey won't. He'll wait until College of Charleston guys that he knows graduate out of there, including Ante Berzovic. He doesn't want anything to do with CFC right now. And the non-conference schedule hadn't come out yet, Sam. So we can't help you there right now.
They're probably going to play the Citadel. And they'll probably play Charleston Southern. That's about all we can do for you. Sam, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Talk to you again soon. 6-4 here. Vanderbilt leading at Tennessee. Vanderbilt now batting in the top of the fifth. South Carolina was a winner, 6-5. We'll hear from the Gamecocks coming up after the top of the hour break, so stay tuned for that. Cole Messina, Garrett Gainey, Mark Kingston. They were the ones handling the press conference today. So we'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. A little recruiting information as well for you, and we'll dive into some of this football stuff too. That's hot and heavy. It's all about the money now, bro. Don't hear that much about academics, what they want to major in. It's all about who's paying the freight and where it's going to be televised, who's going to have what, because we're seeing a lot of movement now with the various television partners. Be back after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The families of the Uvalde school shooting victims are suing Texas State Police.
The families of 19 of the victims in the Uvalde school shooting have announced a lawsuit against nearly 100 state police officers are involved in the botched law enforcement response. The families also say they have agreed to a $2 million settlement with the city, with city leaders promising higher standards and better training for local officers. This Friday is the 2-year anniversary of the Robb Elementary shooting. 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers died when a teenage gunman burst into their classroom. More than 370 federal, state, and local officers arrived on the scene, but they waited more than 70 minutes before confronting the shooter. I'm Mike Hempen.
Republicans say they'll block the Democrats' efforts to advance a border security bill the GOP says is only for show. Bob Agnew reports.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says Majority Leader Schumer's plan to advance the controversial bill is nothing more than what he calls a gimmick. Others say it's political theater designed as cover for vulnerable red state Democrats this election year. Republicans have been calling on President Biden to reverse his own executive actions by which he halted construction of a border wall, allowed for the massive parole of illegals in the country, and ended former President Trump's remain in Mexico. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Republican National Committee's Washington headquarters was briefly evacuated as police investigated 2 vials of blood addressed to former President Trump. The incident Wednesday comes after his takeover of the National Party apparatus. U.S. Capitol Police say hazardous materials teams were called in after the vials were discovered. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 201 points, the Nasdaq dropped 31. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107. Again, 800-355-4107.
A settlement has been announced from the Ohio train derailment.
A federal judge has signed off on the $600 million class action settlement over last year's disastrous Norfolk Southern derailment in eastern Ohio. The agreement is designed to address all damage claims against the companies within a 20-mile radius of the derailment, and for residents who choose to participate, personal injury claims within a 10-mile radius of the derailment. The lawyers who negotiated the deal plan to return to the community several times in the next few weeks and open a dedicated claim center to help answer residents' questions. But the lawyers involved say there is no way at this point to address potential future health costs if someone were to develop cancer down the road under appellate court rulings in the region. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The agreement won't prevent any possible future suits against the EPA or other government entities. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling now to about 66 tonight is our low. A few clouds roll in. Tomorrow we get a blend of sun and clouds. The high is 90. While on Friday we see more of the cloudy cover arrive in the afternoon, we have a 20% chance we get a little shower. For the weekend and including Memorial Day Monday, 40% chance of some rain. The high's around 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network here on a Wednesday night edition from Hoover, Alabama. Be in Charlotte tomorrow. Clemson plays 11 a.m. Matt Smith loves going to Charlotte. He's the king of the Queen City. He'll be there for us. While Clemson is there, Chris Bergen. He is the what goes good with Sardis? He is the,
I would say son of Sardis, but I'm not, so I can't use that.
But you know what? I like that.
The Sultan of Sardis?
The Sultan. I like that. That's a good one. The Sultan of Sardis. And then we have Josh back in Columbia.
I don't have a nickname.
And no nickname for Josh.
Not yet, anyway.
6-4. Vanderbilt make it 7-4. They just put another one on the board, 7-4. Top of the fifth. Vanderbilt leading Tennessee. Update some other scores here real quick. At the ACC, NC State, Virginia Tech getting underway here shortly. Virginia beat Georgia Tech 13-0. And Wake Forest over Pittsburgh 8-1. Can you tell me how those respective pods stand right now, Mr. Bergen?
I cannot. All I know is if Clemson wins tomorrow, they win their pod. If Miami wins tomorrow, they win their pod. So
right.
That's
but
all I know.
We're not sure who's doing well in these other pods.
No, don't care, quite frankly.
We're not podologists. We're not ACC.
And all that matters is, for our listeners, is what Clemson does. And, again, they've got a winner-take-all game tomorrow, even though they still have another game on Friday.
All right, so Delaware at the CAA, Delaware beat William and Mary 7-3. And so at Charleston will play at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and they'll play the lower seed coming out of the games 1 and 2 winners. So Delaware won, and now Hofstra and Northeastern, that's the other game, and they're in the top of the 8th, and Hofstra is leading Northeastern 10-9, and Hofstra is the number 6 seed. So what was Delaware? Any idea what Delaware was as far as their seed?
Do not know.
Yeah, we're not doing a really good job of providing hard-hitting, in-depth information.
To break down, I gave up trying to follow the Coastal Athletic Association when it made a silly name change, State to Colonial.
Yeah.
But on top of that, again, it's the same scenario. When it starts to affect our team, like the college, then we'll worry about it.
Wofford beat the Citadel 8-3 at the Southern Conference Tournament. And just getting underway, VMI playing Mercer. So Wofford will play tomorrow, 3 o'clock, against Western Carolina. And the Citadel season has come to an end. And so there you go. I think we're up to date on all that for now. All right, we're going to hear from the Gamecocks in a moment. Let's go to the phones again. Justin in Monk's Corner. Good to have you with us tonight from down the Low Country. How are you, sir?
How you doing, Phil?
Man, we're doing great. Good to have you with us.
Man, I remember, boy, I've been listening to you for 20-plus years, boy.
Well, thank you.
I'm 40 years old, boy, and I remember being a kid listening. So I got one comment, and then I got a question.
Okay.
The guy that called in about Carolina, look, a lot of us ain't happy with Kingston. Now, he did win 40. He won 43 or 42 games. I think it was last year. So he did hit above the 40-game mark. Still not happy. I mean, that baseball program is going from the heights to the lows to God knows. You know how it's been.
Yeah.
So nobody's happy. But at the same time, man, they're playing good ball right now. So as a Gamecock fan, that's a die-hard. And my grandmother, the Ron Harts, well, they go to home games. I remember when a Clemson ticket was $20 to get into the football game. And that's how long I've been going to Williams Prep.
That's going back a little piece.
That's back when the fairgrounds had what looked like clothes hangers. Clothes hangers. It looked like clothes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Phil.
Exactly.
That's all the way back. Yep. But
okay. All right.
None of us are happy where the baseball program is. There's too much talent on that team to be where they're at. But they are playing good ball right now. So we just got to hope that they do better. Hoover is a second home for LSU. They always go into Hoover and they just, whether it's LSU or Vanderbilt, they just destroy that place constantly. And they've done it for quite a while now. They're going to be a hot team that we got to play tomorrow night. I think we're good enough to knock them off. With that being said, and I'll let you comment on that, but I want you to comment on this also. With that football schedule coming up, that is a gauntlet. And I've looked at that schedule, and I eat, breathe, and crap Gamecock sports. And
You could have stopped after breathing, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. But, Phil, let me ask you something. I look at that schedule. That Lenore Sellers is going to be the biggest thing. And then also, Nick Harper. We got to have him show up. Even though he's out running track, we've got to have a wide receiver. And that offensive line has to be able to block for Rocket Sam. If all of that can come true, do you change the offense to where Sellers can kind of get out that pocket a little bit and run? And if that's possible, or if he can, we've seen a little bit how dynamic he can be, but that's in mop-up duty.
Well, I think you're going to see
do that.
I think you're going to listen. It's not going to be what you saw the last 2 years with Spencer Rattler. because he's an NFL pocket passer. And Sellers, he's a let me think. He's like you can't compare him to anybody. Well, you can't really compare him to anybody because he hasn't played him. Well, he's a big kid. I'm just trying to think of his playing style. He's a runner and a passer, we think. I want to see more before I label a guy as something. I want to see a little more of his work against the quality competition. Talk to me after they play Kentucky. He goes up to Kentucky and leads them to a win, and he throws for 250 and runs for 75 and doesn't turn it over, and they look really sharp in that offense, and I think you're on to something. But he's going to be mobile. He's going to be getting out of the pocket, which is going to reduce. I mean, let's face it. Rattler was a sitting duck in the pocket. What was he sacked 41 times last year?
42, 43.
That's going to go down a lot because Sellers is going to run away from it. He's going to be outside. He's going to run away from it. So that's going to help him there. The offensive line is not going to have to hold those blocks as long as they did for Rattler, I would say. So
exactly.
Phil, I'm interested to see what he can do. I really want to see what this kid can do. We know in high school when the lights were on, he was fantastic. Chris, you saw him a lot down in Florence. People down there swear by him. He's got all the intangibles, and he's got a maturity about him that is beyond his years. So, but let's see how he does in Norman, Oklahoma, and in Tuscaloosa. That kid's going to have to play in Norman, Oklahoma. He's going to have to play in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He's going to have to play in Lexington, Kentucky, late afternoon. He's going to have to play in Clemson, South Carolina. He's got some tough road games to deal with, That's a lot to ask.
That is a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet for a first-time quarterback starting in the SEC. That is not going to be easy. But I do feel like old Spurs used to say, if we can get the ball bounced our way a couple times. That team is capable, I believe. And I like Beamer. I don't, a lot of people say, 5-7, and people are saying run him out of town. No, you got to give the man time. And I understand he's going into his fourth season this year, and I get it. But we can't go and fire a coach and go through this carousel of a door like you go into a mall and just circle around the daggone thing before you get out of it. And it seems like that's what we've done since Spurs left. And I don't know why in the heck South Carolina ever hired Mustang, but I wasted 5 years of my life on that.
All right, thank you, man. It's great hearing from you. We got to move on. We got to
go ahead. Baseball, so I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're lined up with calls. And again, the hiring of Muschamp, Chris, of course, he wasn't the first choice. I think obviously Kirby Smart was, and Tom Herman. It was
Tom Herman.
It was really Kirby Smart, Tom Herman. But Muschamp was still a highly regarded guy. I know the situation at Florida damaged him a little bit, but let's face it, he was the coach in waiting at Texas to replace Mac Brown, but he didn't wait. He took the Florida job and had a winning record there overall, not in the SEC, I don't believe. Had some offensive issues, but he went in and cleaned up. Everybody gave him credit for going in and cleaning up the mess that Urban Meyer had left behind. Was it Urban Meyer? No. I got to get my years right. Yeah, it was Urban Meyer. He replaced Urban Meyer, right? I think he followed. Well, Josh would know. Mr.
Meyer?
Gator. Mr. Gator, who replaced Urban Meyer?
Dan Mullen? No,
I think Dan Mullen came after.
let me look real quick.
Yeah, Dan. I thought you were Mr. Gator. I mean, good gracious. I think he replaced Urban Meyer because I think he had to clean up stuff after Urban Meyer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, he did.
Thank you. 7-4 here, but
And look how many
Tennessee's got
coaches they have
first
had.
and second.
Speaking of Spurrier, Florida's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Napier's the 10th head coach at Florida. Now, some just on an interim basis, but nonetheless, since Spurrier left in 2001.
That's amazing.
It really
I never
is in
thought
a program
about
like
that.
Florida.
They've had 10 head coaches, including interim coaches, since then.
And now Urban Meyer, was there for 5-6 years and did a pretty good job, obviously. But yeah, they have gone through the gauntlet of coaches down at a program that everybody just sort of assumes is going to be great every year because when Spurrier was there, they were.
Let's go to Suzette. Next phone call here on Sports Talk. Not sure where Suzette's calling from.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, Clemson's real. They're gonna come back on them. They will come back, Greasy. They're gonna come back on them. They talking about them and everything, but that's okay.
Clemson's gonna come back on who?
Whoever's talking about them. There's a lot of people talking about Clemson. Like they said they ain't gonna win.
Yeah.
They're gonna come back.
You talking football?
Yeah.
Talking football. So you think Clemson's bouncing back this year big time?
Oh, they're gonna come back on them.
Well, you could be right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You sure that was Suzette? It didn't sound like a Suzette, but
it was.
Anyway,
I promise you, Phil, it was.
Sure, it wasn't a Freddie. That's Suzette. Clemson. That's a whole nother discussion. We'll see. We're going to know right away about this Clemson team. Georgia will tell us a lot. You might say, well, it's not going to hurt them, and you're right. I mean, they could lose to Georgia and still, make it to the playoffs because they can win the ACC and get in the playoffs. But they still have to go down and play Florida State. They still have to play an improved NC State. There are not a lot of challenges along the way with that schedule. But that Georgia game, I think a lot is riding on that reputation-wise. Clemson's reputation has taken a hit the last couple of years. And the vultures are out. Boy, the national vultures, they've been waiting. They've been waiting for this to happen at Clemson. They want to see Dabo Swinney fail.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And they want to pile on about the portal. And they want to pile on about the NIL and his approach. They can't handle the fact that Clemson does it their way. They do it the Swinney way. And, when Sweeney's winning, there's nothing to complain about. But when they go 4-4 in the ACC and they're playing in lower-tier bowl games, then they start to pile on. And you know what? I mean, I can't disagree with them. I mean, we've said it ourselves on this program. We've asked him the question, is your program slipping? And he's denied it, of course. And he believes in his way. He believes in the way they do things. I don't think there's any other program in the country that ignores the transfer portal like Clemson does. Now, Clemson does not ignore NIL. I mean, they're paying players just like everybody else. Are they paying as much? I see where I think from my following of the recruiting, reading the stories, I think they're missing on more players than they used to before the NIL era arrived. And you could openly buy players in recruiting. And it was just head-to-head recruiting. This is what we offer. This is what they offer. And there wasn't a bag involved in a lot of cases. Clemson more than held their own. They're still recruiting at a high level, but I think they're missing on more big-time players than they normally do. It could be because these players are taking, better offers money-wise at other schools. And that's the one thing I hate about this, Chris. There's a lot of things I hate about it. But, I hate to always have to be in a position to say or suggest that a player and the family, they make a decision based on the amount of money being put down on the table.
There's no way to get around this now.
I hate to paint everybody with the same brush. I'm trying not to.
Exactly. Well, the problem is that's the narrative, and it comes from every fan base. Let's assume South Carolina and Georgia are going head-to-head on Ryan Montgomery, for instance. Soon as he decided to switch and go to, at least it looked like switch his commitment. He never made one to the Gamecocks, but it looked like they were certainly in the mix, a lot more so than Georgia. The immediate response is, well, hey, you got paid. Whether or not any of that's accurate, that's the easy sort of lazy narrative that fan bases can now use. Why aren't we paying these kids more? Because that's exactly where we've gotten. And this has taken, 12 months to get there, where we are now, anytime you lose a prospective recruit, your favorite team doesn't get him, whoever he is, and he ends up going to some other school, it's because they paid him more.
Yeah.
Not because they offered the degree program or he liked the town better or they had prettier girls or whatever the case may be. No, it's because he got paid more.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you'll ever change that narrative.
That will be the out that a lot of people will use. All right, got to hit the break. We'll come back with more of your phone calls. Going to get to the Gamecock post-game press conference coming up as well. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. Update the score, 7-4 Vandy over Tennessee. NC State, Virginia Tech, they're scoreless after an inning at the ACC. And Hofstra leading Northeastern 12-9. That's an important game related to the College of Charleston. We'll be back after the break.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including air, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney. Best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Don't you cry no more.
All right, welcome back. 888-898-2525. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Next up here on Sports Talk. Hank, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Good.
I was calling in just a little subject on this football because I feel like a couple of myths are being put to rest. One myth was that where would the money come is that people keep on getting these contracts and stuff. After seeing the fact that TNT would sublet 2 games for a bunch of millions of dollars from Disney just to get a chance to broadcast, obviously there's no limit to the money that they'll put out for sports. Whether it be basketball, football, look at that NBA contract that's going to run TNT out of the NBA market. And basketball players making $95 million a year if they're at the highest contract level. So that's one myth. The second myth, NCAA. Yeah, the NCAA is a school, but it's a whole lot of concern with those 40 or 50 people that are making over $1 million at that NCAA office. Because for them to set up a settlement and throw most of the money on the for paying the settlement on the other group of 5 and the lower conferences, so that they don't make the Power 5 conferences bad because they need their money and don't want to mess with their money too much. That shows you that it ain't about the schools. Those guys are up there protecting their salaries. So I just don't see where. For years, we would say, "Oh, it is the school." Now, them guys up there worry about their pockets. They worried about their pockets to do that to the smaller schools and to the smaller conferences. like that with that outcome. I think there's always going to be money because you see these people are continuing to throw.
You know, you're right. I mean, and especially now with streaming becoming more and more involved. I mean, that's a endless supply of money for your digital and your streaming providers. Even they got a lot of people cutting the cord. I read a story the other day about the amount of money that the cable people are losing. Your ESPN and your cable, people who are providing strictly via the cable, and people are cutting the cable because they're getting programming they don't want and it's too expensive. So they're all going. They're going to the streaming option, and we're seeing all the streaming outlets now become more heavily involved in picking up sporting events. And you're going to have sporting events on Amazon.Prime. You're going to have them on Netflix. You're going to have them on all the Disney outlets for streaming, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, the money is there, and they're finding ways to get their hands on it, and they're going to have to share it now with the players. This settlement's going to lead to a revenue sharing plan with the players with a cap on it of some sort from what I've read. But they're also going to have to reduce the amount of money that the schools are receiving from the TV contracts, because that money's got to go towards the settlement to these players, the back payment of what is it, some kind of couple of $2 billion that they're settling with these players. So that's going to be less money coming to the schools for the foreseeable future.
But come on, did you see the way it's set up though? It's set up where it's over a 10-year spill. So the amount that the Power 5 conference schools would be sending back to them is almost inconsequential. It's like a nickel to a billionaire. and it's the lower conferences that are going to bear the brunt and have to cut for it. So that they can keep the power conferences making the money they make, because they're afraid that they will pull away and have their own little scenario, and then all the TV money will go with them.
Yeah. All right, Hank, thank you very much for the insight. Chris, Hank always knows more than we do.
He does. Should bring him on as a host.
I think so. Instead
of a caller.
Let's have a night with Hank on Sports Talk.
I like that.
I'll take the night off, and you can take the night off. We'll let Josh handle it. A night with Hank.
Get him in and out of the commercial breaks. He's good to go.
Night with Hank and Josh.
I think he'd do a good job.
All right, we'll be back in a moment here from the Gamecocks.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cool now to 66 tonight is our low. A few clouds roll, and tomorrow we get a blend of sun and clouds. The high is 90. While on Friday we see more of the cloudy cover arrive in the afternoon. We have a 20% chance we get a little shower. For the weekend, and including Memorial Day Monday, there's a 40% chance of some rain. The high's around 90. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point look of weather.
Breathe fresh life into your home with Lake Murray Soft Wash. Our team specializes in power washing, soft washing, and restoration. From roof cleaning to wood and concrete washdowns, we've got you covered. For top-notch, affordable services that you can trust, call now 528-1996 or log on to LakeMurraySoftWash.com to make an appointment. We're not just professionals, we're your neighbors. Whether residential or commercial, Lake Murray Soft Wash sets the standard in cleaning. Embrace the sparkling difference today.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting crews are continuing to search methodically for survivors in a small Iowa town devastated by a powerful tornado. Authorities have not said how many were killed or injured in the storm. The tornado Tuesday afternoon left a wide swath of obliterated homes, splintered trees, and crumpled cars in Greenfield. The twister also smashed massive power-producing wind turbines several miles away. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has set July 4th as a date for a national election as his divided and demoralized Conservative Party faces its biggest challenge to its 14-year rule. Sunak's party has struggled to overcome a series of crises, including an economic slump, ethics scandals, and a revolving door of leaders in the past 2 years. More details at srnnews.com.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And maybe this might not matter as much to some people, but they're local owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Medicare is complicated. For the last few years, Point listeners have been helped by Tim Hamberry and the team at Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team work hard to make sure that folks who call him get the best advice and service possible. Want further proof that Tim is the right man for the job? Go to Tim's website, www.medicareblueprint.com, and check out the testimonials. Page after page of kind words and thank yous are on that site from Tim's clients. That means something in my book. Go to www.medicareblueprint.com or call Tim at 708-7398.
Ready for an outdoor makeover? You can do it affordably today with Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. We have beautiful, high-quality outdoor furniture stock, including original Polly's Island, CRP, our recycled polymer line, great options from Kingston Casual and Telescope Casual too. Make a high-end statement without the high-end price. And remember, we deliver in Richland and Lexington counties too. Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, 3303 Forest Drive, jackoliverpools.com.
Every month you get a power bill, and every time you look at it, you realize you have very little control of that bill. If you want to take some control, it's time to reach out and talk to the folks at Broker Solar. Listen, solar power is not for everyone. It isn't, but the rewards are well worth it, not because of the politicians and the media and the green this and the green that. Nah, it's worth it because it'll save you money on the long term. It'll give you control of your power bill, and there are some great tax advantages available. But you know what? You need to do your homework. Don't get fooled by the guy putting lawn signs in the grass offering something too good to be true. I have known the owners of Broker Solar for more than 20 years. I trust Ken and his team, and I believe you should too. They are local. They are legitimate. I've been to multiple homes where they've installed solar power. The technology is phenomenal, and I am a believer. See for yourself. It's brokersolar.com or call Ken at 807-7417. That's 807-7417. It's Broker Solar.
All right, the Gamecocks today winners over Arkansas. Thrilling baseball game. It was tight throughout. South Carolina, the power of Cole Messina and three pitchers, starting with Eli Jones, then Ty Good, then Garrett Gainey, did just enough to hold off Arkansas. Big win for the Gamecocks, 6-5. Mark Kingston, along with Gainey Messina, met with the media after the ball game. Let's take a listen to what they had to say, beginning with the opening statement from the head coach.
Oh, great ball game. Again, two of the best teams in the country, in my opinion. Could have gone either way, but this guy closed it out at the end. Cole drove in 5 of our 6 runs, and so that's the team I think we're capable of being on any given day, and we beat one of the best teams in the country. So, again, it's just something we'll continue to build on.
If you would take us through that 9th inning, what kind of emotions, or how do emotions change, or do they?
Yeah, I had to settle myself in and just try to dial it in a little bit. Felt like my stuff was kind of getting over the plate more than the other 2 innings, so I was getting hit around a little bit. Being able to focus in and get that last out was huge. So.
Hey, Garrett, Jack Felcher, GamecockCentral.com. When did you have an idea or a sense that you may be coming into this game today? And when you do come into that 7th inning and you get that final out to keep it tied at 4, what's kind of going through your head there?
I mean, I pretty much knew I was getting the ball today. I knew we were going to have a good chance of winning, especially taking an early lead and then taking that lead 4-2. I think it was the 6th inning. Especially like late in the game like that, I knew I could get the ball. So being able to just focus in the bullpen and try to think about my bullpen as a game type situation and get ready for the game.
Alan Cole, GamecockScoop.com. Cole, you had a tough matchup in the ninth there. Pitcher hadn't given up a homer all year. Were you sitting on anything in that at bat? And can you take us through the homer, please?
I just knew he had a good fastball and be ready for a good fastball. So, I sold out for the fastball and he ended up throwing a slider and just took my best swing. Didn't really think, I was going to hit a slider, but it happened and took a good swing and the ball got out of here. So.
Cole, what's kind of the emotions of that homer there for you when you're rounding the bases and you see all your teammates going absolutely nuts, in the dugout there?
I mean, it means the world. Like, that's a moment I'll remember forever. I mean, these are my guys. These people I would kill somebody over. Well, that's bad. I
can't say that.
Yeah, no, bad way to put it. No, I would take a bullet.
Taking it a little too far.
No, take a bullet for it, and I love them to death. So it meant the world to me, and keep building.
Cole, Mark was talking yesterday about, these moments, these tournaments are so cool because you see guys have the moments they'll remember for the rest of their life. How gratifying have these last 2 days been for you?
Like I just said, it's been awesome. I mean, it's been fun to watch this team compete the way we have, and, had a rough 6 games before this tournament and, just kind of turned it all around in 2 games and feel like we're back to who we are and can make a run.
Cole, Coach Van Horn said it was pretty clear you were sitting breaking ball on that last home run. Does that kind of speak to how well you're seeing the ball right now, that you can be sitting fastball and make that adjustment so well? Is this about as well as you've played this year?
I mean, I guess so. I felt like, the majority of the time when I'm geared up for a good fastball, I just hit with my eyes more than not, and I felt like I just hit with my eyes on that pitch and took a good swing.
Garrett, can you take us through that celebration afterwards? That one's a little bit different than
Yeah, I just explained it to the SEC Network people. So we've been playing the Nintendo Switch in the hotel, and that's recently been our go-to celebration for a win. So me and Matthew Becker have been going back at it, back and forth. Tyler Dean's in that mix, Drake Quinn's in that mix. But I told Matthew that if I got the last out, well, it should have been a strikeout in my eyes. But if I got the last out, I would do the celebration. So I caught him coming out the dugout, and I looked over, and he was doing it. So I had to do it right back at him.
Hey, Mark, with Gainey coming in today, did you know coming into the game that you were potentially going to have to use him today? And did you, how do you feel like that decision kind of paid off for you?
Yeah, well, Garrett's one of those guys that either he's going to give you one day with some length or you use him twice with shorter bursts. And so once we had the lead, we decided, okay, we're going to give the ball to Garrett. It's going to be a little bit longer outing, but hopefully he can take us home. And that's exactly what we did. So we went in today saying if we're in control of the game and we have a chance to win, we'll give it to Garrett. If it's getting away from us, then we'll save him for tomorrow, and then he probably would start. So we're just being flexible with a lot of our guys right now. All these guys are right around that between 50 and 60 pitches. So that means they may be able to be deployed later in the week as well. So it's kind of who we are right now.
You've talked pretty much for 2 years now about Cole being the leader of this team. Can you even put it into words or explain how different the vibe is when he's going the way he's going right now?
Well, we score a lot more runs when he's hitting. That's clear. I'm pretty sure if you dug into the stats and on the days he has good games, I bet we probably win 90% of the time. And when he doesn't, it's obviously not that high. But he's the heart and soul of our team. And when the heart and soul of your team is playing that well, it just allows everybody else to kind of follow suit.
You sort of touched on it, but we've asked you about pitching decisions all year. Garrett Gainey was out there and giving up a few hits there in the ninth. You didn't have anybody warming up in the bullpen. What gives you the confidence in him to be able to do that? And was there any thought to even getting somebody up?
No, once we went out there for the ninth inning with the 2-run lead, we said we're going to ride or die here. He's earned that right. He's been one of our best guys. We've talked about it. He didn't get the last out in that inning at Tennessee last week, but there's certain guys you're willing to ride or die with, and he's one of them. And we were going to win or lose in the ninth inning with him on the mound. There was no reason to get anybody else up, and he came through.
Is there anything you see different out of Cole these last couple days, or is this just him putting it together on a bigger stage?
Well, I think, his mechanics, when he has his hands high and he has that, he's got some movements that need to be synced up properly. And when they are, he's as good as any hitter in the country. And right now, he's completely synced up. His timing is where it needs to be. And when he does that, his swing is in the zone for a long time, which is exactly what allows what he was just talking about. He was looking fastball. He got the slider, but because his bat is in the zone for so long when he's swinging the right way, it allows you to be back here for the fastball and still be on plane for the slider when it's hung. And so that's why, it looks like a guy sitting on a breaking ball, but when you have a good swing that's in the zone a long time, it can cover the fastball and the slider.
Joe Healy, D1 Baseball. Coach, how pleased have you been, as much as anything else, with the way your teams fought these first 2 days coming off the way you guys finished the regular season?
Well, Joe, we fought all year. I think sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking if a team's losing, they're not fighting, and if they're winning, they are. Nothing could be further from the truth with this team. This team has played hard from day one, and whether you win or lose, that's not how you define how these kids are fighting. These kids have played hard all year. I know every coach that comes in here will say the same thing. It's a damn hard league, and you're going to lose some games. And this is a strong-willed team. They've never showed up to the park where I thought, they're not ready to play today. This team plays hard. We had a couple tough weekends against 2 teams that will be national seeds. It happens, and we just keep the train moving.
First time since 2017 that the program has won a game in this tournament that was in the double elimination portion of the tournament. So just your thoughts about being where you are, facing LSU tomorrow in a winner's bracket final, so to speak, a place that the program hasn't been in a while.
Yeah, well, I think it's well documented that the history of South Carolina baseball, there's been a lot more great moments outside of Hoover than inside of Hoover. I mean, a lot more highlights in Omaha than in Hoover, for whatever reason. I'm focusing on this team right now. This is a team it's a good team, and we can beat just about anybody in the country, and we're playing really well right now. So just gonna ride that wave as far as we can.
Y'all played ahead for a lot of the day, and then whenever Arkansas would score, y'all would come back and score right back. How much of a difference does that make, either in this game or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, we responded. It was a little bit of a gut punch. We took the 4-2 lead, and then they tied it up. And luckily, it didn't take too long before Cole hit the 2-run homer to give us the lead back. So, look, baseball is a game of flow. It's a game of ups and downs. You have to be able to deal with it, both in game and also during a season. And again, this team generally does that pretty well.
Mark, we're 2 games through the SEC tournament now for you guys. How would you evaluate the way in which you've been able to use the pitching staff with monitoring pitch counts and knowing when to pull guys? And how do you feel like this sets things up for the rest of the weekend?
This is how we have to do it. I mean, really, this is how we have to do it in a short weekend. Obviously, we're playing the tournament now, and you've got to win a lot more games, and we'll have to win next week and hopefully the week after that. So we're kind of trying to line things up in a way that we think will give us a chance to win the next couple weekends. So it's a little bit of house money right now. I need to go back with Matt and decide, all right, how do we use guys tomorrow? Who will start? Who will finish the game and everything in between? So far, again, I think the key for us is to use guys in situations where we don't overexpose them, we don't overuse them. Now that it's postseason time, and again, Eli was good today, 1 earned run. He didn't want to come out, and I don't blame him. He's a competitor, but we thought it was time at 56 pitches, and Ty came in, and Ty probably didn't want to come out, but he was at 60, and then Garrett Gainey gave us 54. So really, that's within that number of pitches for those guys, that's when they're at their best.
All right, comments of Mark Kingston. Do not know who the Gamecocks will start yet tomorrow against LSU. LSU's only used 4 pitchers, 2 starters, 2 relievers in their 2 lopsided wins to open this tournament. So they're probably in real good shape to go with whoever they want to go with out of their regular starters. And their bullpen's pretty well rested. They haven't been taxed at all, unlike South Carolina, which, had a tough game against Alabama. They did score a bunch of runs, and then they really had the pressure on them today against Arkansas. So you could say the Gamecocks have come up all A's so far in this tournament over Alabama and Arkansas.
Have. Yeah.
Pitzer, look,
Pitzer. Are you afraid, or do you trust him to run Roman Kimball back out one more time?
I mean, he's been a regular starter until just recently. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think they're probably going to go bullpen. I think you're going to see a lot of bullpen
Oh, sure.
tomorrow.
There's no doubt.
You know,
Yeah. And I mean, they went through 3 guys today, and I think that's the pattern, and that may be what they use for the remainder of the year. Have
Now-
guys go through 1, maybe 2 times in the order, and then they're done.
you probably can have Veach tomorrow for at least an inning.
Ooh.
Here I am speaking out of school. He threw 67 pitches yesterday. He didn't pitch today. You might have him for an inning available if necessary. SQ you could bring back to work a little bit. He didn't pitch much the other day. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I think Pitzer may get the call tomorrow to at least start.
Makes sense. It's a possibility. All right, let's go to the break. We'll come back and give you recruiting, and then we'll finish up with phone calls. Still want to jump on board? We'll get to you, 888-898-2525.
The
That's how you
break.
can reach us. Oh, there is no break, is there?
No, there's no break.
I'm sorry. Well, excuse me.
We need a break.
I mean, I can put a break together if you want to sell some more ads. I mean,
I literally need a break. I truly need a break. Well, I tell you what, let's go to Rocky in Greenville if he's still with us, and then we'll do recruiting.
He is.
Let's go to Rock. Rocky, what's going on? Welcome in.
How are you, buddy?
Okay, man, hanging in there.
I'm calling back because actually from Andy's call earlier in your show, and when he started talking, I said, you know what? I want to do some research. So I did. And I know Andy's not a big Kingston fan, and that's fine. I'm probably on the fence a little bit, and I tend to think and look at what are your assistant coaches, and we know who the hitting coach is and the pitching coach is. I've never heard of Matt Williams, but nonetheless, the two things I've always looked at this year is on occasion pitchers can't throw strikes and they can't hit with runners in scoring position. So you put those two together, and that doesn't lead to many wins, more losses than not. But I checked. Ray Tanner was at Carolina for 16 years. He won 40 games, 14 of those 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now he needed the postseason to win some of those 40-win seasons, 41 or whatever. But nonetheless, 14 of 16 years, he won 40 games. Since Andy brought that up, and then I looked at the SEC and Phil, out of the 16 years, South Carolina only won 20 games in the SEC 4 times, 4 out of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it was 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. So it was, but they always got hot at the end of the year. So, but they weren't lighting the SEC on fire, winning 20 games plus all the time. They did it 4 times in 16 years. So those were a couple of stats I looked up after Andy called asking.
Let me give you one. Let me give you one that makes it hard to compare that era with anything else. 6 College World Series trips.
Absolutely.
6 College World Series trips and 2 rings.
11, 12. Yep.
Yeah. So
that's why Gamecock fans are so spoiled, and I understand that. But this team is okay. This team has a pitching problem. They can't throw strikes, or maybe they just need to get more talent still.
Yeah.
That their problem is on the mound. Now, if they can solve that, fine. But they can hit baseball. You know these guys can hit.
Well,
so
they're over with their power display today. That puts them over 90 home runs on the season.
Yeah.
Right. It's not in Georgia category, but still, they're going to end up, depending on how many more games they play, they're going to end up with around 100-plus home runs on the season. They can hit with power. There's no doubt about it. They've had a problem hitting with runners in scoring position, runners on base, 2 outs, that kind of stuff, critical hitting. They've had trouble. But you know what? And by the way, we just had a 2-run homer by Vanderbilt. Boy, the ball is flying out of here, Chris. There is no wind. There is absolutely no wind to speak of. It's a 9-4. This vaunted Tennessee pitching is being tattooed by what's been a bad Vanderbilt team. And it's like Kingston said after they lost 6 in a row. Get to the postseason, and let's see who gets hot. Right now, LSU is hot. South Carolina's hot. Vanderbilt's hot. Mississippi State was, they've only played 1 game, but they're in anyway. So Kingston might be right. You want to play your best baseball right now, and that's what they're doing. And let's see if they capitalize on that tomorrow against LSU. Thank you very much, Rock. It's good hearing from
Take
you.
care.
That gummit. What was Rocky's wife's name?
Adrian?
Hey, yo, Adrian.
Well done.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
come
either
on.
way.
How do you forget that?
Two things on you, Josh. Two things on you. Number one, please, in the future, do not look like you're falling asleep and yawning during the show.
I'm not falling asleep here. I'm just,
No, I was last night. I was refreshing the video from last night. I happened to hit a little piece of it, and you were like laying back in your chair, about to fall out of your chair, like you're about to fall asleep.
You've had your share of that too, so don't worry.
While we were, we were chopping it up pretty good. And tonight you're like in a dark studio. You're like Rod Sterling back there in a dark studio.
Oh yeah, I turned off the lights, man. I have a headache, so.
Oh really? Now we put you to sleep, and now we give you a headache. Okay.
Well, listen. I have to turn on the lights now. I'm great, so no worries.
What's interesting, back to the baseball for a minute, you talked about that vaunted Tennessee pitching staff. I mean, they went with one of their frontline guys against Vandy tonight. Snead ran out there, and they hammered him. Scored 5 runs in 2 2/3, and here's a guy that this season, and Nate Snead is 8-1 on the year in 19 appearances, 2.67 ERA with 50 strikeouts on the year. So he's not a guy that an opponent's batting average of 253. That many teams have had much success. So props to Tim Corbin's club. And about that time, this is when Vanderbilt normally starts playing some good baseball, don't they?
They really do. They find a way. But let's see how far it takes them. I mean, there's got to be a reason why they struggled all season long. But you can say the same thing about South Carolina. Got to be a reason why they struggled all season long. But you come here, you win a couple of games, you kind of close the door on all that, you flush it, and you look at this as a brand new season. They're like starting over.
Well, and you don't face, and I'm getting tired of hearing, the SEC deserves to have 11 teams into the NCAA tournament. No, they don't. Florida is not an NCAA tournament team. I don't care if they played the best schedule in the country. They didn't win any games. They don't belong in, but nonetheless, they'll get 9 or 10 in for sure. But for teams like South Carolina and Vanderbilt that are starting to flex their muscle a little bit, maybe when they get away from SEC pitching and face some teams in the regionals that haven't seen them, they may have a whole lot more success than they did during the regular season during conference play. Maybe the SEC is really that good, and we'll start finding out here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, it is time to get to recruiting in our final minutes here tonight. I hate to do it so late because it's so important, but everybody was yakking tonight, so we couldn't get to it. It was a yakathon. Time for recruiting. Now, who yaks the most on this show? Who does most of the yakking? Oh, no, don't give me a solo shot on the screen.
I fixed it. There you go.
We need to have a word count on the show every night. My guess is
that's a good idea. We should have a little register under each one of us showing how many words come out of our mouth.
It's definitely you, Phil. Definitely you.
It'd be nice. Be nice to see.
Phil, it's either you or Gamecock Larry. So I'm not sure.
Larry, yeah, that's a good point. Recruiting brought to you by Seawells. Tomorrow's a Thursday. What do we got at Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet tomorrow, 11 to 2? What do we got?
It's Thanksgiving. Carved turkey with cornbread dressing, fried fish nuggets, and lasagna.
Delicious.
The fried fish nuggets. Yummy.
Yeah,
fried fish.
Great.
Fish right out of the
congaree.
Right out of the congaree. The fish out of the congaree. That's fine. When you start getting flounder and salmon out of there, that's when we got to raise our eyebrows.
4 eyes. Yep.
And of course, for the very best in catering, that is Seawells as well. 803-771-7385, their number. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. First year USC tight ends coach Sean Elliott making a positive impression on tight end Preston Douglas, 6'4", 220, West Palm Beach, Florida. Made a couple of visits to see Douglas. Now Douglas is coming back for an official in June. That'll be his second visit to USC. He was also in on April 19th. Really likes what he's hearing from the Gamecocks. He's coming down June 7th. He only played in 6 games last season because of a broken collarbone. He totaled 450 receiving yards with 4 touchdowns. He considers himself a hybrid tight end, but he sees a Gamecock program that's on the rise. He's talked a lot to Shane Beamer. He really likes Beamer. He likes the fact that they have an offensive coordinator with NFL experience and a tight end coach with head coaching experience. That's a big thing to him. USC is up there, one of his favorites, with NC State right now. He'll go to NC State the weekend after USC. In the spring, he visited State, Wake Forest, Syracuse, USF, Maryland, Wake Forest, East Carolina, Syracuse, and Indiana. So those are some of the schools he checked out. Syracuse and Indiana are also among his offers. Defensive tackle Eric Thomas of Fort Myers, Florida, has set an official to USC June 21st per Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur. Cornerback Brandon Finney of Olney, Maryland, has set officials to Penn State May 31st, USC June 7th, according to Steve Wiltfong of On3. Wide receiver Winston Watkins of Naples, Florida, has set an official to USC May 31st, according to Gamecock Central. He's a cousin of former Clemson and NFL star receiver Sammy Watkins. Winston Watkins. Tell you what, you throw a touchdown pass to him, and you can say that guy is really smoking. Winston Watkins. Really
That's
get it?
good,
Smoking?
but the majority, I do, but the majority of your listener base now, as it gets younger, would not recognize that because,
check out the
cigarette
old
smoking
videos.
not in vogue. Yes.
Offensive tackle Cortez Smith, Lilburn, Georgia, has set July 20th for his commitment announcement. He has official visits in June set up with USC, Miami, Florida State, and Georgia, and will choose from those four according to On3. And one more to tell you about. Bryce Jenkins out of Washington, D.C. can play on the defensive side, can also play on the offensive side. He's going to visit South Carolina, Maryland, Tennessee, and Rutgers. Now, this according to a story, 247 Sports' Brian Don, who talked to Jenkins in Baltimore at a camp last weekend. He'll go to Rutgers May 31st, and then Maryland on June the 7th. He will go to South Carolina June 14th, and then Tennessee on June 21st. He comes from the same school that sent the Gamecocks Dylan Stewart. That is recruiting for you tonight right here on Sports Talk. Okay, update some scores. 9-4 here in the 7th. Vanderbilt over Tennessee. We've got NC State 6-0 on Virginia Tech, top of the 3rd at the ACC. We have got Hofstra beating Northeastern 12-9. So I'm not sure what that means for Charleston, which is the lower seed. I think Delaware might be the lower seed, but don't hold me to that. Charleston will play tomorrow against Hofstra or Delaware. You can figure it out tonight. All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow from here in Hoover.